So first of all, I'd like to dedicate this seminar to Mother Devaki. She's my guru of the Holy Name. You can keep it to that picture. Yeah. Then we'll go forward after that. So 2 years ago, in 2015, yeah. Last year I was in Mayapur, and I went to ISKCON, which is the birthplace of Lord Nityananda, hidden Vrindavan. And I went to a holy name retreat there with Mother Devaki. She's like a renunciant. She's been preaching for over 30 years all around the world. Especially the last 15 years she was in Bangladesh, in a Muslim country. And she was preaching there. She's still there. So basically after that I did this seminar. It completely changed my life, completely. Because I realized how bad was my chanting. Yeah. Mother Devaki, she was saying she wished that 30 years ago she would have heard about this knowledge, about how important it is to chant, to involve the heart when you chant. It's an affair of the heart, that's what bhakti is. So she was saying that for 30 years she chanted inattentively. We can really, it's such a pure thing, chanting, such a sacred thing, we can really miss the point with it. That's what we're trying to discover tonight. What is the meaning of chanting? What is the goal of chanting? What is the mood behind the chanting? And I guarantee you, if you listen attentively, that's what I'd like you to ask you, if you could give me your ears for the next hour so we can together delve into the understanding of the Holy Name. So basically what's important is in this seminar is try to open your heart to receive this knowledge and try to be conscious of your own chanting and see what are your bad habits in chanting. Are you chanting attentively or inattentively? Are you chanting at the level of the heart? So try to be humble and introspect seriously about your own chanting. If you do this, then the seminar will really help you to try to go to a deeper level of chanting. So Mother Devaki, she's been doing this seminar all around the world, and she was saying that many senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples, and sannyasis, they come to her seminar, and they have shocking truths about their own chanting. And we're speaking about devotees who've been, practicing like chanting for the last 40 years. So what about us? That's the question, what about us? So I really dedicate this whole seminar to her. After that retreat, I was so inspired about the teachings. I asked her, I would like to share these teachings in Canada, but I don't feel like I'm a pure chanter. I don't feel I have the qualification to share this, not being such a good chanter. And she told me, well, it's not a problem because I planted a seed in you, and you just have to water it and share it to others. The message is there, so on her behalf, I'm sharing this. So let's move forward. So the Holy Name is everything. That's what it is, everything. Because Chaitanya says in the Shikshastakam, Vyasadeva also says that in one of the Puranas. He explains that basically Krishna has invested all his potencies in the Holy Name. Everything he has, all his powers are there. Because it is Krishna. No, it's not different from Krishna. So that's why basically the quality of our spiritual life depends on our quality of chanting, because Krishna has invested everything in it. So when you connect to the Holy Name, then you connect to the full thing, you connect to Krishna. And as I was researching for things and for verses on glorification about the Holy Name, what I found out is that basically it's just the best of everything. It's the best of all glorifications. It's the best of all sacrifices. It's the best of all holy places. That's what is described also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's just the best of everything, the best of pious activities. It's beyond pious activity because it's Krishna. So basically, it's just whatever you see that is good in this world, that is pure, you multiply it by millions of times and it doesn't equal the glories of the Holy Name. So Srila Prabhupada said that the chanting is the essence of all the philosophy. The conclusion of all of his books is that it's the essence of all the philosophy. I'll give you one example. I was in New York a few years ago. Ram Roy, he was the right hand of Indra Prabhu, and for the last 3 years, he's been going every day on the street doing Harinam for 6 hours every day, non-stop. And I had the fortune to be with him in the kirtan, on the street in Union Square, very busy place. And when he started to chant, really shocked me to see, how he was chanting. Really put all his heart in the chanting, all his being, all his soul, all his voice, everything he had, he was putting it there. So much sincere, and really enveloping his heart, body, mind, everything, and chanting the holy name, really like a service. And that when I saw this, I thought, well, this is chanting. This is what chanting is. And there was a Sunday feast on that day, so I went to 22nd Avenue, and I was taking prasadam with him. And he told me, well, that's what he said. He said, I have read Srila Prabhupada's books 30 times, all of his books. And I came to that conclusion. From reading all of his books, the conclusion I came is that basically, you have to chant Hare Krishna as much as you can with all your heart. That was his conclusion, based on Prabhupada's books. And Prabhupada says it there, the essence of all philosophy. He also said that of all the rules and regulations, of all the instructions given by the spiritual master, the most essential instruction is this chanting of 16 rounds of Hare Krishna. That's the most essential instruction. Srila Prabhupada said that if you chant 16 rounds attentively, and you follow the 4 regulative principles, then because I have the key to the back door to Godhead, then you can easily go there. So just by chanting, it's the foundation of our spiritual life. So what does chanting means? It's a request to be reestablished in a relationship. That's what it means. Because when you chant, what is the goal of chanting? It's to reestablish a relationship with Krishna. Because Srila Prabhupada said to a reporter that the reporter was asking him, why do you chant always Hare Krishna? So Prabhupada said that, well, we chant because it gives you a direct association always with Krishna. So basically, it's our first connection to Krishna. It's direct communion. That's why chanting is the best of all the limbs of devotional service. Because when you chant, you associate directly with Krishna. That's the goal, to be with Krishna. Krishna is there personally. Let me ask you one question. If Krishna would be there in front of you face to face, right now, what is there? But let's say, just like you're in your house, Krishna appears in front of you, face to face. So what will you do?
Faint.
Sorry?
Faint.
You will faint? Definitely. Yeah. Who will not? That's what it says. Krishna is so beautiful. If you see him, you faint. Anything else? What will you do? Nothing?
Shocked.
Sorry?
I'll be shocked.
You'll be shocked. Yeah, totally shocked. Huh? Anything else?
Start chanting.
Bow down, offer your obeisances. Well, basically, if God is there in front of you face to face, you'll want to be very present, to give nice service to Him, attentive service with your heart, like with feeling, and do it fully. So basically, Srila Prabhupada described that because Krishna and His name are non-different, when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna is there personally. Because you cannot separate Krishna from His name. You cannot separate Krishna from Vrindavan. You cannot separate Krishna from Prasadam. You cannot separate Krishna from His devotees. You see, so Krishna is there when you chant. But are we conscious of that? That He's personally there in front of us. Srila Prabhupada said that it's just like He's dancing on your tongue when you chant. But to the amount, you will feel His presence depending on how much attentive you are. Because Krishna is always there. He's basically everything. We'll speak about that tomorrow, how to see Krishna in everywhere, because He is everything. But in His name, it's directly Krishna. You could say like a tree is Krishna, but it's indirect because it's like the immaterial energy. But the name is directly Krishna. You associate it directly. So that's why we have to understand, when we chant, that Krishna is there, it will help you, to be more attentive to the chanting. Give you another example. Since the goal of chanting is to establish a relationship with Krishna, if you knock at someone's door, saying his name, he answers the door, opens the door, but you don't even look at him, he speaks back to you, you don't even hear him. You speak saying his name, but you look around and you're not very attentive to his presence. How will he feel? No. And how will be your relationship with him? No. Not very substantial. So just the same as you want to develop a relationship with someone, you have to be present. Offer some service, offer love and affection, and then there will be reciprocation. Because the trick of bhakti, the secret is that Krishna says, Yatamam prapadyanti tam stataiva bhajaniyam. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Krishna can be like a thunderbolt, or can be like a rose, or can be totally present or totally absent, depending on how we reciprocate with him. Because Krishna is the most humble personality. That's his topmost, his topmost quality is compassion, but his compassion comes from his humility. So basically, it's the most humble. So that's why he doesn't push himself upon us, because we have free will. And that free will is there because Krishna, they cannot force his love upon us forward. He's always there. He's there as the holy name, directly available. You are in direct association with him. He's there as the deity. He's there in your heart. He's there in the devotees. He's there in his Bhagavad Gita. And basically, it's everything. So Krishna is making himself so readily available to us. Just think about this for a sec. That basically, how are we able to exist? How are we able to breathe, to have this body, to have relationships with others, to chant, to eat, whatever we do, it's provided by Krishna. So he's already doing so much for us. But what are we doing for him? Because basically, the factual reality is our relationship with Krishna. That's the true reality. Because as we speak right now, we already are always, even right now, in a relationship with him. He's there in the heart. We're in a relationship with his material energy, in the sense we are interacting with his material energy, this body. We're interacting with his deity form, serving the deity. Interacting with prasada, we honor prasada, then we have that relationship with devotees. So it's, at every step, every moment, we have that relationship with Krishna. But what makes it Maya or Krishna is whether I am aware of it or not. We'll speak more about this tomorrow, so we'll focus more on the chanting tonight. So it's a request for a benediction to be engaged in loving service. That's what chanting means. Srila Prabhupada said, the mood of chanting is helplessness. That's the first step. That's the first level. You could say the first mood we should develop. Helplessness. Just like a child crying for his mother. I don't know what is the greatest shopping mall here, but let's say West Edmonton Mall. It's a big mall, no? Biggest in Canada. No? So imagine yourself, you're 5 years old. It's Boxing Day. There's thousands of people in a shopping mall. You lose your mother. How would you feel? If you will lose your mother, no? You'll feel pretty bad. You'll feel lost. You'll feel sad. And you'll try to look around to find for your mother. And your mind wouldn't be wandering around. It would be totally focused on trying to find your mother. Crying, Mama! Crying around, Have you seen my mom? Where is my mother? So that's the mood. That's the mood of chanting, just like a child. Because that's our position, basically. Because we're completely dependent on Krishna. We cannot live without him. Now is the source, is our actual source. Is the source of everything. So the fact that we can live means that Krishna is providing for us. So that's why the mood should be in the mood of service, to be engaged in loving service. I'll reveal to you a secret that will really help you if you actually take this. If you can take this tonight, then I will consider this seminar to be a success. If you can take this, that longing to serve, this is the proper mood to chant purely. When you long to serve, because the essential function of the self is love. And the nature of that love is service. That's described in Japa Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Japa Dharma means the essential function of the self, loving service. So when you chant, you're asking to be engaged again in loving service after being here for millions and billions and trillions of lifetimes. To be reestablished again in a relationship, a direct relationship with Krishna. And that's where the chanting starts. That's where the relationship starts, when you chant. If you see in Vrindavan, the Brajavasis, what are they doing? What are they doing? So they are chanting constantly. It's like they're breathing. Mother Yashoda, she's churning butter for Krishna, and as she's churning the butter, she dances, like the Bengals, they make sound, and she chants, and she chants different stories of baby Krishna. So that's kirtan, she's doing that. Now when Krishna is in the pasture fields with the cowherd boys, what are the residents in Vrindavan? What is the father, the gopis, what are they doing? They're chanting Hare Krishna, they're chanting the pastimes of Krishna, they're chanting his name. So, Shishi Radhamadav Ki Jai, Srinathji Ki Jai. So, basically, it's like breathing for them. But in Vrindavan, the main thing is direct service to Krishna, because they have direct association with him. They see him face to face. So that's the main thing. But here, because we are disconnected from Krishna, the main thing is chanting. That's our main thing, because it reestablishes that relationship so that we can be at that level. So when you chant with longing to serve, you reestablish dasya. You reestablish your identity as a servant, because that's what we are, servants of the Lord. And chanting is the best way to do that. That's why it's the best name of devotional service. It addresses directly that main thing, that main problem. What is the main problem for every living entity? Is that we think we are God. We think we're the supreme controller and enjoyer. And we apply that in everything, even in devotional service. As we start devotional service, it's called mixed devotional service. We start devotional service, but with a mood of control and enjoyment. And that's why we don't experience full bhakti. That's why we commit offenses. Because we approach it with the mood to be Krishna. That's the problem number one. So chanting addresses directly that main problem, that we're trying to be God. Because chanting naturally brings you in that mood of service, because that's what Hare Krishna Rama means. Oh, Shrimati Radharani, oh divine energy, universal mother, please engage me in the service of the Lord. That's what we're asking. And that's why we have to make ourselves available for service, because the more you chant, the more you receive service. But if we receive it and we don't want it, if we receive higher responsibilities but we reject it, then, it's actually not going along with this mood of chanting that is helping us to develop that service attitude and receive more service. So let's continue. An expression of lamentation for having turned away from Radha and Krishna. So that's the proper feeling we should have. Lamentation. That's the general emotion that comes when we really realize that we've made quite a big mess out here in this material world, trying to be independent of Krishna. We realize, oh Krishna, I'm so sorry. I've made such a mess of myself, trying to be independent, trying to enjoy myself, trying to be God in this material world. But please, please Krishna, let me serve you again. Please accept me again in your service. That's the mood. An acknowledgement that Radha and Krishna have not turned away from me. Because they have never, like I was expressing at the beginning, they're always there. Krishna comes in the body of a worm in the stool to accompany us, to sanction and permit every of our desires. So how compassionate he is to be there in every living entity to help us go through this experience in the material world. So they have never turned away. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Gopakumar, for those who have heard about this story of Gopakumar, when he came to Vaikuntha, when he was there face to face with Narayan, when he saw him, he said, "What took you so long? I've tried in so many ways to bring you back, but you are so stubborn. So stubborn, you didn't listen to me, didn't turn to me. Please, stay now, don't go back. Stay with me, let us be together again." So it shows that Krishna is actually, he wants you to be with him more than you want to be with him. That's the reality. Because in the Harinam Chintamani it is described that we are inattentive in our chanting at 3 levels. Body, mind, and heart. Body means laziness, that's why we have to address it first. Because as long as you're not inattentive at the level of the body, how can you be attentive at the level of the mind and then at the heart? Because if you're lazy, tired, weak, then or sick, it's difficult to chant. And when the body is uncomfortable, then the mind will be disturbed because of the body. So it will be difficult to be focused with the mind. And also with the heart. So basically, body means laziness, mind means distraction, and heart means indifference. That's why the seminar is really pushing how to chant at the level of the heart, because that's where Krishna is staying there in the heart. So to have a relationship with him, then we have to go in the heart. It's just natural. So chanting at the level of the heart means to involve the heart in the chanting. That's as simple as that. That's how the mind can stop its wandering. Why is the mind wandering? Because the heart is not involved. If you see someone, a materialistic person, fully absorbed in his business, because he has strong attachment to his business or to his sense enjoyment, whatever it is, let's say sex life, it's the greatest enjoyment in this world. So someone who wants to have sex life will put all his energy into it, will involve everything, his body, mind, and words, his heart, and it's trying to involve everything in the activity because he's so attached to it. So we see naturally we have that natural capacity, tendency to be absorbed and involve everything we have. But it's just that we do it in the wrong place. So Krishna consciousness is not about detachment. It's about transferring the attachment from the material to the spiritual. From Maya to Krishna. That's as simple as that. So we have to involve the heart in chanting Hare Krishna. Because when you involve the feeling, then Krishna, that's when he reciprocates. He will reciprocate with you if you chant Hare Krishna, but if you chant inattentively, just mechanically as a dry duty, day by day, because we'll speak about that later, there's over-familiarity that can develop, then we can miss the point about chanting. I'll give you another example. One lady, she was on her deathbed, and she was asked by her family members, "You must be looking forward to see Krishna again face to face, to have a relationship with him." And she said, "No, actually, I cannot go there because I don't have any relationship with Krishna. I don't know him." So you see that we can spend all our life in devotional service chanting Hare Krishna, missing this most important point, that the goal of devotional service is to reestablish our relationship with Krishna. Because that's the true reality. The only true factual reality is a relationship with Krishna. Because it's what it is anyway. Everything is the interaction between Krishna and his energies. This is what is the true reality. So it's a journey of self-discovery. On the way to Krishna, we meet ourselves. Because Krishna is our source. So the more you hear about Krishna, the more you purify your heart, and the more you understand who you are. That's how it goes, because we have forgotten who we are. But because we have access on understanding who Krishna is, we have information about Krishna, then hearing about him, it will purify the heart. And then we'll be able to understand who we are. Let's continue. So the means to an end, devotional service, and the end in itself, devotional service. So it's both the goal and the means. So you see what we're doing right now, just like I was describing, that's what they're doing in the spiritual abode. Golokera Premadan, no? Basically, this chanting is descended directly from the spiritual abode. And we have access to it. So that's the reality. When you chant Hare Krishna, that's it. That's what it is. You know, Krishna is there. So it's only about developing our consciousness of it, that Krishna is there in the name. Developing the mood of service. Developing the longing to serve Him while we chant. So it's devotional service to Radha and Krishna. So when we chant, it's direct service. Actually, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when Gopakumar meets the Vaikuntavasis, when he's outside of this material world, they start to glorify Nama Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. And they say that chanting is the best glorification of the Lord. And in the purport, Sanatan Goswami says something very interesting, that it's even better than offering prayers. It's the best prayer. It's better than reciting pastimes of the Lord. It's better than devotional songs. It's the best of all glorification. Because when you chant, if you see, it's all about the mood. When you pray, what is important? Is it the words? Because I could just pray, oh Krishna, I want to surrender to you, you know. We could say that, but it's not very sincere, you know. It's not about words, it's about the mood, it's about the intention. Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yamanyaschas mitatvatah. I can only be known by pure devotional service. That's how He reveals Himself. He is conquered by love, by quality, not by quantity, not by how much money we have, or how much service we do. No, about our intention. We try our best, Krishna does the rest. So that's what is most important. So we have to see in what we do, what is the quality in it, of our devotion, of our love. What is our consciousness? Where is our consciousness when we do the service? Okay, let's say a lot of dishes needs to be washed. So there can be a new guy, we met at the university, and he was really inspired to do some volunteer work here. So we bring him and he washes some dishes, in the kitchen. So he does the service. But what if the head pujari comes, after 20 years of experience, he comes and he washes the dishes too? Will it be the same? Well, externally it might be the same, Maybe he goes at the same rhythm as the new guy who comes and washes the dishes. But in his consciousness, in the quality of his service, it's completely different. So you see, it's all about the intention, mood of service. So it's the best of all limbs. It's the pillar of devotional service. You see, it's independent. It's not dependent on hearing. It's independent. It's the pillar. It's the best of all the limbs. A pillar in itself is the foundation of the house. You may put so many decorations on it, put some carvings, carve some different details on it. It doesn't change the fact that the chanting or the pillar is the foundation. So all the other things, they're revolving around this chanting. So that's why the chanting is the most important thing. We have to see how we can develop or focus, put some serious time and effort in chanting. So it's the ultimate shelter because Krishna is there. That's the goal of life, to be with Krishna again. And He's there as the holy name. So that's the incarnation of Krishna in this age. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes. Let's continue. The holy name purifies the heart. We already spoke about that. So we'll go a little quicker on this. These are different, each verses of the Shikshastakam. The 8. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was in the Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, in the 18 last years of his life, in the most, basically when he was most absorbed, in thinking about Krishna, he wrote this in the Gambhira. He was in deep meditation on Krishna, and this is what came out. So this is the essence of all the Vedas, these 8 verses. So it purifies the heart, So when you purify your heart, then you develop the service attitude and you become eligible to serve Krishna. It extinguishes the fire of material existence, because the reason why we are attached to all these material things is because we have a lot of taste for it. But the chanting gives you a higher taste that is actually beyond comparison. If you take all the pleasure in this world, you put it, and it's just one drop compared to the pleasure of Brahman. If you take all the pleasure of Brahman, it's not even, it's half a mustard seed compared to the shoreless, unlimited ocean of Krishna Prema, pure love of God. So you see the difference. So let's continue. Elevates the soul with self-knowledge. You start getting realizations about yourself and Krishna. Increases the bliss of intimate relationship, because the more you chant, the more you understand who Krishna is. He reveals himself to you and you become more attracted to him. Invites everyone to participate. That's what we are. We're not the Archana movement. We're not the Prashadam movement. We are the Sankirtan movement. The congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. That's what we are. But how much effort do we put in chanting, in doing Sankirtan? Because that's what we are. Let's continue. It is the ultimate total fulfillment of all things. Because all our desires are fulfilled by Krishna. Man proposes, God disposes. So there's this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that whether you have no material desires, whether you're full of material desires, or whether you want liberation, you should still surrender to Krishna, because he is the one who fulfilled your desires. Actually, to get benefits in karma, jnana, or yoga, we need to do a little bit of bhakti, because Krishna is the one who will give results to our endeavors. So actually in the Vedas, when you see in terms of jnana, karma, or the yoga path, in order to have some results, there's always a little tinge of bhakti, and that's what gives you the result. So it is Radha, Krishna, and Prema the ultimate goal, because everything is there in the holy name. You see, because what are we trying to achieve here? We're trying basically to enjoy ourselves in this material world. Try to enjoy the objects of the senses. But why are we attached to these things? We'll speak about that tomorrow. Why are we attached? And where is Krishna in that attachment? So Krishna is everything, So the point is, Krishna is the source of all beauty, all happiness, all pleasure, all knowledge. But basically everything you can imagine is the source of that. So that's why it's the ultimate goal. Because you don't miss anything when you chant Hare Krishna. It's described by Vyasadeva that all the Vedic mantras, all other mantras are contained in this mantra, because Krishna is there, is Swayam Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Radha is there, the Supreme Energy, and Prema, love, the interaction between Radha and Krishna. So we don't miss anything when we chant. That's why there's so much focus on it. Absorption in the holy name inspires more absorption in the holy name. The more you chant, the more you want to chant. Because it's addictive. Because Krishna is there as the name, and Krishna means all attractive. So naturally we become more and more attractive. And the more we chant, it's just like a janitor in your heart. As you chant, every time you chant, the janitor passes the broom. So much dust is there. It's described that it's like having 1 kilometer of dust over the mirror of the heart. So we need a lot of, cleaning in the heart. So that's what it is. It constantly purifies your heart. So let's continue. So why should we deepen our chanting? Because there's a danger of over-familiarity. If you think about it, we chant every day 2 hours. For those who chant 16 rounds, we chant every day 2 hours. So it's like, for example, in a room, in a closet, if you don't pass the room for years, the broom or the vacuum for years, dust settles, and you cannot even see it anymore. So that's what it is with bad habits. We are chanting so regularly every day that it has become a habit, and we take it lightly and cheaply. Because Krishna is there. Rupa Goswami says, if tears doesn't come out of your eyes when you chant, then you must have a heart of stone. Interesting, no? So, it's not a cheap thing. It's not a cheap thing. Krishna is there. We should not think that, oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, that's good enough. No. I'm chanting because I want to have a relationship and I want to deepen my relationship to Krishna. So the point is that if we chant inattentively out of duty, then we lose taste. Lots of taste come from inattentive chanting, from chanting dry, just like a dry mechanical duty. That's why there's no taste. And that's why after we chant the 16 rounds, we don't feel like chanting more because, I've done it, okay, I've chanted enough, I've chanted my rounds, then, I'm done for the day. So that's why it leads to diminished chanting in Japa and Kirtan. When you have taste, like for anything, we have so much taste for the objects of the senses that we're ready to die for it. Spend our whole energy, work like an ass, spend so much money to satisfy our senses. So, because we have taste for it. So that's why if you chant attentively, it purifies very quickly the heart and you get a lot of taste. When you have taste, then you want to chant more. For how long can we continue chanting simply mechanically as a dry duty? Because we can keep doing it for all our life if we want to be like that lady, unfortunately, who felt that she didn't because she didn't know Krishna. She didn't seriously endeavor for a relationship. Turn to Krishna for a relationship. That's the second mood. You start, you're helpless. You chant in mood of helplessness, and then second is to turn to Krishna for a relationship. That's when chanting becomes serious, becomes deep. So Srila Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they put serious time in chanting. If you see Lord Chaitanya, how did he start the Sankirtan movement? For 1 year they were chanting in Shiva Sangam, in the courtyard of Shiva Thakur. And every night they would chant, all night they would chant the holy name. And after 1 year, when everyone was really pumped up, if I can say like that, with the holy name, they went on the street and did Harana. That's basically the Sankirtan movement came out of the pure chanting of Lord Chaitanya. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, what did he do before he started the Gaudiya Math? For 10 years, he took a vow to chant 1 billion names, 192 rounds, 20 hours a day, in a small hut. And at some point, when he was chanting, there was a hurricane and the whole roof came out. He was chanting in the rain, still chanting. His disciple felt bad for him, so he brought him an umbrella. So you see how determined he was. And after he chanted for 10 years, he said, okay, yeah, I'm ready now. I'm ready to start this movement. So Srila Prabhupada also, he was seen for many nights. He was seen in Vrindavan to chant all night in front of the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami. He was seen by the residents of Vrindavan doing that, crying and chanting, begging for the Lord to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master. The day before he took the Jaladuta, the ship, to America, he chanted all day in, if I remember, in the birthplace of Advaita Acharya. There's a nice temple there. So basically, just like the Sankirtan movement is coming from the pure chanting of Lord Chaitanya, ISKCON is coming from the pure chanting of Srila Prabhupada. Because our quality of spiritual life depends on the quality of chanting. Everything is coming from that. Basically, you cannot worship the deities if you don't chant Hare Krishna. If you don't chant, you cannot follow the regulative principles. You won't have the enthusiasm for it. And if you don't chant, you cannot serve. You won't have the enthusiasm to serve the devotees if you don't chant. That's for sure. Because there are 2 tracks on the train back to Godhead: chanting and service attitude. When you chant in the mood of service, then Krishna is pleased and he really reciprocates with you. So let's continue. How many minutes do we spend in Kirtan every day? So we're the Sankirtan movement, like I was saying. But how much do we spend doing Kirtan, Because Srila Prabhupada said in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, verse 8 to 12, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that for a man in the family, he doesn't need to renounce his family life and go into sannyas if in the family there is the chanting of Hare Krishna, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, offering prasadam and worshipping the deities. So when chanting is there, then it's perfect. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, make your chanting heart deep, not lip deep. Because chanting is not an activity of the body. It's an activity of the soul. Because that's what they do up there in Vrindavan, in the spiritual abode. So it has nothing, I mean, we use the body for chanting. We use the body as a medium. That's how we purify the body, and we use it as an instrument. But it's an activity of the soul. So if we just see it as an activity of the body, we can just chant, just like a parrot can chant Hare Krishna, but what is the quality of it? A child can chant Hare Krishna, but he will chant it maybe without understanding the full meaning of the chanting. So the quality, we said that the quality of a spiritual life is really strongly depending on the quality of chanting. So one more thing I'd like to say, like I was saying, the main problem in life is that basically we don't have the service attitude. But connected to that is that the main problem is not that we don't have enough money or we cannot pass our exam. These are external things created by our karma. But the main problem is that we have no love for Krishna. That's the main thing. Because we have no love, that's what makes us indifferent to Him. And that's why we don't endeavor seriously to chant and surrender to Him. So let's continue. So there are 4 steps to perfection in establishing good habits. Because the point is that we have become over familiar with our chanting, and that's why we chant inattentively. We don't involve the heart in the chanting. So there are 4 steps to perfection. So this is described by Sachinandan Maharaj in his Japa workshops. So he explains that first, we are unconscious, we chant inattentively, and we are unconscious, totally unconscious about it. That's the first step. Second, we are conscious that we chant inattentively. We introspecting, like tonight, that's what we're trying to do, try to be conscious about our inattentive chanting. Third, we endeavor to chant attentively. Consciously endeavor to chant attentively. Fourth, we are chanting attentively and we are unconscious about it because it has become a habit. And what is described is that scientifically it takes a minimum of 40 days for a habit to be established. So you can give yourself a goal. Even if it's just 1 round a day, if you can chant 1 round attentively, make sure you focus. You sit down, you don't go around wandering with the mind. You involve your heart, chant with feeling, and really try to feel the presence of Krishna. Then just by doing that, if you do that for 40 days, then you will have establish a habit. Let's continue. So the Kirtan arrow is described also by Sachinandan Swami. So these are different aspects of how to chant at the level of the heart. First, alignment of body, mind, and heart, as we're describing. If the body is not in a good position, then how can we be focused or connected at the level of the mind and the heart? Relationship, chanting with the awareness of it, that Krishna is actually there. Rendering service, chanting in the mood of a servant, because that's what chanting means. Opening the heart. So try to go at the level of the heart and chant with feeling. Welcoming the divine gift. So we should not be impatient achievers, we should be grateful receivers. That's the mood. So we just try our best. We put ourselves in the mood of a servant and sincerely try our best, and we let Krishna do the rest. So let's continue. So we talk about this. We commit a lot of, basically, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, it's the 11th offense to the chanting of the holy name. 11th offense is inattentive. To be inattentive, inattentiveness. And this is the root of all other offenses to the holy name. Because we're inattentive, then we don't get the full result. It's just like an empty capsule. We don't get the full result when you can take an empty capsule, but you won't get the full experience if you just get a full capsule with all the medicine in it. So let's continue. So we'll continue again. So just let us go back. So what are, according to you, the different types of inattentive chanting that you have seen in yourself, that you have seen in others?
While the lecture is going on, we chant.
Yes, definitely. That's I've seen many times. Yeah.
Chanting and talking.
Chanting and talking. So we talk, but we chant at the same time. So what is the focus? Are we really trying to hear Krishna's name. No, it's not very serious. No? Anything else?
Chanting and talking on your phone or looking at your phone?
Yeah. SMS, you know, like you're chanting, but once in a while, oh, you receive a text, you chant and you look at it, you know. Yeah. Anything else?
Chanting and watching TV.
Watching TV, yes. One devotee, you cannot chant 16 rounds unless he had watched a full movie. That's true. That's true. It's unlimited. Let us see what is there.
Driving and chanting?
Yes. It's like, you know, like trying to look at the traffic, the red light, and how are you focusing on the holy name? You know? So let us see what is there.
Next one?
Yeah. So driving, we said it, talking, plan making, daydreaming, that's the most easy one. No? But chanting, we don't know, we're thinking, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? What I have to buy? You know? And all this inattentive is coming because the heart is not involved. When the heart is involved into something, you put all your energy into it. When you want your business to work, you put all your energy. So playing with kids, you know, playing with your baby and chanting at the same time, it's not so attentive. Reading, sightseeing, unless you're back to Mark Swami and very, you know, like attentive in your chanting when you walk, and you know, I've seen him, he can be really absorbed in chanting and walking, even in the city. So when you chant and walking, try to be careful. If you're in the city, it's very easy to be distracted. So if you want to walk, better to walk in nature, or in a temple room, or a place where there's not so many distractions. Otherwise, we'll be chanting that we'll look at the new advertising, you know, the new toothpaste or whatever it is, shampoo, and then we won't be really focusing on the holy name. Dive bombing, Japa, you know, we're chanting but sleeping at the same time, trying to recover. Or cooking, you know, what's more important, that your potatoes are fully cooked or that your round is done? So this is multitasking japa, we're really good at it, you know, going around and doing things as we chant. You know? So, not so attentive. Let's continue. So basically, okay, what I will say now is shocking, but please take it in a way to just go deeper in your chanting. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, that when we chant inattentively, without a longing to serve, it is useless chanting. Just like your car parked on neutral. You think you are advancing, but not doing much. So that's what it is. We do, it's like, it's an empty capsule, you know. We take the capsule, but we don't get the full potency of it, the full benefit. Because pure love of Krishna comes from chanting, but it doesn't come from inattentive chanting. You'll never get pure love by inattentive chanting. Pure chanting, you know. And because I said inattentive chanting is the root of all other offenses, then we get stuck with all these other things, you know, that are not helping us in our chanting. So Harinam Chintamani, we already spoke about that, different levels of chanting. Let us continue. So let us go back. So what are the tangible benefits of attentive chanting? If you chant attentively, what will be the results?
Connection with Krishna.
Connection, feel a stronger connection, very good. Yes?
You get lots of opportunities to serve Krishna.
Because the more you chant attentively, because chanting means asking for service, the more Krishna will give you nice service. Yeah. Anything else? Let us see what is there. So inspired to serve, realizations of the bodily mental platform. Because when you chant, it's Krishna. The soul is spiritual, Krishna is spiritual. If you do activities just in the bodily platform, mental platform, then your consciousness will be material. But when you chant, longing to serve, attentive, then you infuse your whole body, mind, and consciousness with Krishna. Because Krishna is there. So your consciousness becomes transcendental, puts you off the mental platform. So desire to chant more, you get taste. Detachment from sense gratification. Because Krishna is there, is the source of all pleasure and happiness, you experience him directly when you chant attentively. So because of that, you see other things to be useless in comparison to the taste you get from devotional service, especially chanting. You desire to hear more about Krishna, you get taste for reading, like reading Srila Prabhupada's books. Because the basis of chanting is Sambandha Gyan. The basis of chanting is Srimad Bhagavatam. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is about chanting. Chanting means glorification of the Lord. So, if you want to chant nicely, you have to hear about Krishna. That's why reading Srila Prabhupada's books are so important. The more you hear about Krishna, about who he is, his personality, his qualities, his pastimes, his relationship with his devotees, then you become more attracted. And when you chant, then you understand, well, I'm chanting the name, it's not just a name, it's Krishna. It's his qualities, it's his pastimes. So you value time and use it properly. Prabhupada said, if you will know how time is precious, how precious time is, you will not waste a second. Because even with millions of dollars, you cannot buy time. So good qualities come out naturally. You get the qualities of the demigods because your heart becomes purified. Let us continue. Okay, let's go back. So what is the proper lifestyle for attentive chanting? How can you mold your life in a way that you can chant attentively? What will be the different ways to do it?
Get up early.
Get up early, for sure. Because early means mode of goodness. Means if you, especially 1 hour and a half before, it's very early. But if sometimes we have the opportunity, 1 hour and a half, Brahma Muhurta, before the sunrise, that's when the spiritual energy is at its peak. That's where the mind, it's at its most peaceful state. Yeah, nice. Anything else? Yes?
Don't eat late at night.
Yes. Especially in the Indian culture, we tend to have very big meals at night. Chapatis, rice, dal, sabji. But the point is when you eat after 6 p.m., the digestion is much slower. So if you eat a big meal, it's hard to wake up in the morning and it's hard to stay awake when you chant. I really see the difference. After a festival, when you eat a big feast, next morning is very hard to chant and not to be awake. Anything else?
Don't waste time on TV and rest.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, because chanting, the quality of a spiritual life depends on the quality of chanting. You have to find sacred space and push as much as possible the morning activities for later. Just like watching on your phone, watching your emails, watching TV, reading, whatever you want to do, whatever you need to do, like doing laundry, cooking. If you have the chance, push it as much as you can so that you can find time in the morning. Let us see what is there. So we spoke about a few of these things. Simple living for peace of mind. The motto is simple living, high thinking. And simplicity is not only for brahmacharis. Prabhupada said simplicity is for the human being. Clean environment because it puts your mind in mode of goodness. Mind is naturally in the mode of goodness. And that's where it works best. So that's where it is peaceful. So when it's clean around you, then naturally it will feel clean inside you. Uninterrupted rounds. Because the more you chant, the more you get taste and the more you get absorbed. If you just chant one round here and there, you won't get the same absorption. That is for sure guaranteed. So as much as you can, try to put your rounds together. That's why it's good to push the morning activity. And I can guarantee you'll get more absorption in chanting if you do that. We switch off mobile in the morning. Because first thing we do, we switch on the mobile and we look what is there. What is the email? Who called us? What is the message? So this is really can help. First thing when we wake up is we should try to say, we can think about Krishna, not about what is the news and whatever is there. Because then it will contaminate the consciousness, it will make it difficult to chant. Temple morning program, if you have the chance, associate with devotees who have taste for chanting. If you come in a morning program with devotees, everyone chants together, then there's Tulsi, there are the deities, you chant together in the temple, it's the Vaikuntha atmosphere, so it just makes it more easy to chant. So from time to time, once a week, once a month, make it an habit to come and chant here. You chant your full 16 rounds, it's very good. So let us continue. Relationship and chanting with the awareness of it. It will help us to establish a connection and make our practice lively. Because that's why chanting is not so tasty, or we don't have so much enthusiasm to chant. Because As we chant, we just chant for chanting, without understanding that Krishna is there and that we should try to turn to Krishna. Be helpless, mood of helpless little child, because that's the proper mood. Involve the heart, longing to serve, turn to Krishna for relationship, and mood of service. Continue. So we spoke about that. The relationship with Krishna is our factual reality. Samandagyan, we spoke about that. Real chanting is only when we turn to Krishna. Because otherwise, if we just chant and we never turn to Krishna, because that's what it means. It means relationship, thinking about the Lord. If we chant but we don't think about Him, we're not conscious that He's there, then it's not exactly the same quality of chanting. So it requires endeavor. We have to cultivate longing for Krishna. That's our part. We try to... Basically, it's all about the intention. I understand that it can be difficult sometimes to chant attentively, but just by your desire, that's where Krishna reciprocates. If you have the desire to chant purely, attentively, Krishna will reciprocate with you, guaranteed. He will give you the facility, the enthusiasm. He says, whatever you lack, I will carry. I will. And whatever you have, I will preserve. So that's how, it goes. Okay. We'll skip on that one. We spoke about that. Rendering service, chanting in the mood of service. The relationship is more precisely defined as being a servant. Because, like I was saying at the beginning, we can approach devotional service in a mood of enjoyment and control. And even in the chanting, why do we chant? If we chant just to get the pleasure out of it, the happiness, then we contaminate the mood of chanting. We have to chant in the mood of service because that's what it means. Engage me in your service, Krishna. Okay. So Krishna reveals himself according to our mood of service, attracted by loving service and nothing else. That's what will attract Krishna's attention. I'll give you an example. One lady, she has 6 children. Very busy at home. She would like to go out and do Harinam, chant the holy name on the street, distribute books, but she just can't because of her duties for her children, for her family. If she has the sincere desire to go out on the street and distribute books, this is the same benefit as if you go out there in person. Because that's what Krishna takes. Not the activity. He takes the intention, the desire. You see, actually that's how he reciprocates with us. So, we spoke about these things. Let's continue. So, chanting means to give pleasure, not to enjoy.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Because when we chant, even in kirtan also, we can really easily miss the point in kirtan. Oh, it's such a nice kirtan, nice melody, nice devotees, nice dancing, nice instruments, nice mridanga. And it's all about it, like the chanting is nice, it's just nice mood. But we don't get the full experience in that kind of chanting, because it's external chanting. We chant because it feels good, it's in the mood of pleasure and enjoyment, and we chant because the externals are good. But we miss the point that it's to serve Krishna. It's like, that's why the most important, like I was saying, I want you to live with that longing to serve. Chant with the longing to serve. Involve the heart. Krishna, I really want to serve you. I want to give my life to you. I know I'm not doing much right now, but I really want to surrender to you. I want to give my life to you. I want to develop pure love for you. That's the longing. We constantly have to be in that mood. You'll see your chanting will transform automatically if you do that. So kirtan is not a performance, nor a dancing show. We can dance, it's fun, everyone has pleasure, has fun, nice dancing steps, doing circles and all the different things. But if you see Lord Chaitanya, why would he start dancing? Because he would start dancing out of ecstasy. Because he was deeply absorbed in thinking about Krishna, trying to serve him, in the consciousness. So that's why we can easily miss the point with kirtan. So it's the most sacred offering, it's the sacrifice of the age. It's the most sublime love song. But how do we treat it? Do we just treat it as a mere entertainment for our senses, for a social event? So the capsule is full of poison when we chant with material motive. especially for the kirtan leader. The one who leads the kirtan has a very high responsibility because of his level of consciousness and how much he's attached and connected to the chanting will make others connected to it. So, for one who leads kirtan, because when you lead, we get some shakti, some energy from leading a kirtan. And if you lead and just out of false, you go, oh, look at me, I'm chanting so nice, I'm playing so good at the mridanga. Well, what happens is that the whole body is pervaded by consciousness. So when you chant in a consciousness of false ego, that pervades the fingers. And when you play the instruments, kartals, mridanga, harmonium, voice, with the false ego for prestige and be attractive to others, others will feel it in the sound vibration. And that's why you see the difference in the quality of kirtan. You can really see the difference in the purity, depending on how people are connected, how first the leader is connected, and how others are connected, depending on if they just want to enjoy, or if they will really want to serve Krishna, respecting the sacredness of it. Let us continue. So cultivate the kirtan bhav of separation and longing to serve. That's the mood. Krishna, I'm here in this material world. I'm longing to have the association again. I'm here in this world, in this body full of miseries, in this body that is going through birth, old age, disease, and death, and I've become forgetful of you. I want to be in touch with you again. That's the mood. Fill your chanting with genuine devotional feeling. Because like you see in a relationship with someone else, if you want the relationship to work, whether it's two lovers, two friends, you have to put your feeling in what you do. If you just are mechanical in your relationships with others, they won't appreciate. They will feel it. No. When you put feeling, affection, love, just like a mother puts, the love of a mother is the purest, you could say, material love, because she does it unconditionally for the child. Let us continue. Kirtan, most of them love song. Longing for Krishna drives Maya away. Because basically, it's all about consciousness. If you're absorbed in Krishna, then what enters your mind is Krishna. If you're absorbed in Maya, what enters your mind is Maya. As simple as that. That's how the mind works. Attraction, attachment. Depending on what you are attracted and attached to. Our love for Krishna directly manifests in our eagerness to please his devotees and cooperate. So that's how we can get taste for chanting. I'm speaking, like since the beginning about love, a relationship with Krishna, but that relationship starts by service to devotees, service to the holy name. But you see service to the holy name at the beginning is service to Guru, because you take a vow in front of the spiritual master to chant 16 rounds every day for the rest of your life. So at the beginning, this is a service to Guru, this chanting of 16 rounds. And then with time, it develops as a service to Krishna and establishing a relationship with him. But it starts as service to devotees. Because, you see some, even in Prabhupada time, there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he said to live in a tree, chanting 64 rounds a day, chanted all day. But wouldn't go and see the devotees, chanted on his own. And when the devotees told Prabhupada, when he heard about that, he said, well, I'm curious to see how long he will stand in this tree. And not long after that, he couldn't maintain this. Because he was actually trying to do this in a mood of enjoyment and control, to actually attract prestige from others, not because he really wanted to do it. So it's not about just chanting in the forest and chanting in our own bhajan kutir, but our chanting should help us to develop the service attitude to serve the devotees and have nice Vaishnava relationships. So one moment association is enough to get the seva bhav of the sadhu. That's the fourth mood of chanting. First, helplessness. Second, turn to Krishna for relationship. Third, mood of service. Fourth, you chant in the mood of a special devotee. Like in the Nectar of Devotion it's described, you follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. That's a very elevated position. But here, at our level, you chant meditating on the specific mood of a devotee that you really appreciate, that you find as is really connected to the chanting. It can be your spiritual master, it can be Srila Prabhupada, it can be a devotee in the community. You meditate on that person as you chant. And when I say these moods, it's not that you think about it when you chant. You don't think, oh yes, okay, I'm a little child, I'm helpless. No, you put yourself in that mood. Because when you chant, it's not about thinking, it's about chanting and hearing. That Prabhupada said it has nothing to do with thinking. So you put yourself in that mood when you chant. Continue. So we spoke about that. So the personal ambition spoils bhakti. It becomes poisoned medicine. So personal ambition means when you do something just for your own enjoyment, just for your own aggrandizement, just for your own benefit. So that's what personal ambition means. So just for your own material motivation, not just to please yourself. When it's just done in that way, then bhakti becomes spoiled. And that's when we're trying to water the heart or the seed of bhakti. If we water by trying to put our personal ambition in the front, then what you water are the weeds, the anarthas of false prestige, of trying to distinction and profit, adoration, distinction, profit. These things you water. And that's why we see that even after 15 years of chanting Hare Krishna, we don't see so much difference in our heart. So we saw that we water the weeds of our anarthas. The ass is the only one to love his singing. There's this verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that the ass, we have a ass in the heart. Just like the ass, he's the only one, he's doing his thing, but nobody likes it. So when we put ourselves in the front, then it just contaminates our chanting, our bhakti. So life in the material world is a nonsensical stage performance. This should inspire us to chant. That's what Prabhupada said about this material world. Okay, just like in a drama, the curtains open in one life. Your Aunt Jemina, this lady and the maple syrup? She made so good some maple syrup, she made pancakes for everyone, and everyone had, good maple syrup and pancake. That was her life, But then you close the curtains open, you're a rich businessman in Wall Street and you make millions of dollars. Close the curtains, open them again, you are a dog in the street. That's the reality in this material world. We've been here for millions of lifetimes. We've tried everything. We've been in all kinds of species of life. Everything you can imagine, you've been it. So this is to inspire us to really try to connect with Krishna, because that's the true reality. We don't want just to go again and have different kinds of bodies, and we don't want to miss this human form of life. So Trinadapi Sunitrena Tador Happy Sahishnuna. This is the mood. These are the qualities we need to develop in chanting. You put it around your neck. You put these 4 qualities, you hang them on the string and you put it around your neck. So basically humility, more humble than a blade of grass and a straw in the street, more tolerant than a tree, free from false prestige and ready to offer respects to others. That's the mood. And when you do this, you can chant constantly. These are qualities we really have to focus. And if you chant attentively, by purification of the heart, these things will come naturally too. Okay? So these are the different moods that we spoke since the beginning. So just to remember it, helplessness, just like a little child, turn to Krishna for relationship, beg for service, longing to serve, and cultivate the seva bhava, the mood of service of a pure devotee. Okay? So we're finished. This is from the Prema Vivarta, the position of the living entity in the material world. It's a book by Jagannatha Pandit, a close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I would like if we can read it together, maybe if one devotee at a time, if you can read it, just to help us understand our position here and to try to be enthused to take shelter of the Lord and the chanting. Someone would like to read it first?
Roaming about in the material world, taking one bath after another, if by chance the living entity comes in contact with a saintly person, he becomes immediately knowledgeable of his true identity as pure spirit soul and eternal servant of Krishna. Enlightened by this knowledge, he does not want material entanglement any longer, and he laments, "Alas, why have I saved this illusory material energy for so long?"
Continue. Yeah. Please go to the next slide.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Anyone else would like to read?
Repeatedly regrets and cries out, "Krishna, my Lord, I am your eternal servant. Ever since I left the shelter of your lotus feet, my life has been completely devastated. Lord Krishna is so merciful that if anyone importunes him earnestly, he immediately releases the jiva from material entanglement. Lord Krishna fortifies him with his transcendental eternal potency, and this overbearing power of Lord's spiritual potency weakens Maya's influence on the living entity."
Prema Vivarta, chapter 6, verse 7 to 11. Lord Krishna is so merciful that if anyone importunes him earnestly, he immediately releases the jiva from material entanglement. It's all about desire. Because as soon as you have a sincere desire to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will make sure it happens, because that's his desire. Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. He's the greatest friend of every living entity. So he wants you so bad to be back to him. Like I said at the beginning, Narayan, when he was in front of Gopakumari, told him, "What took you so long? I was waiting for you, crying in separation from you." That's what Krishna experiences with the living entities. So let us continue. So these are different books on the holy name, if you want to take note, to help you deepen your chanting. Harinam Chintamani, a must read by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who describes a discussion between Haridas Thakur and Lord Chaitanya. Shinamamrita, very good book, it's huge. It's a compilation of what Prabhupada said on chanting the holy name. You can find it online. Chanting Hare Krishna is the same thing, quotes by Srila Prabhupada, it's just a smaller book. Nectar and Ocean of the Holy Name, very complete book by Satyanandan Swami, the techniques of chanting, the mood of chanting, the meaning, all these different things. Art of Chanting Hare Krishna, it's just the same by Mahanidhi Swami also. Japa Meditation, it's by Dhanurdhar Swami, compilation of different devotees, senior devotees, on the Holy Name. Very good, they express their realizations on chanting. Japa, it's by Burjan Prabhu. By following the Shikshastakam, he helps us to understand the mood in chanting. And Japa Reform Notebook by Satsvarak Maharaj. Most of these books you can find online. Yeah. Okay, please continue. Holy Name Retreat. We're organizing with Mother Devaki. She will come to Canada for the first time. And in June 10 to 13, we'll do a Holy Name retreat, just like I did in the Kashakra. She will do in Ottawa. We have rented a big Buddhist retreat. We can hold over 100 people. So what I'll do is that when we have the registration online, I'll give it to one of the devotees here to share it with the others. So if you're be interested, that's by donation, and we'll have a very nice retreat in June. She will be also going to Toronto to give a seminar on accepting and giving shelter. Okay, let's continue. They are just pictures of the Holy Name retreat. Yeah. Any reflections, comments, corrections? Yes.
I have a question actually.
Yes.
I think it's an interesting question, but I'm just looking for clarification. So when you're chanting, let's say if you're chanting attentively, over the days, weeks, months, and years, is it fair to say that your chanting should get better?
Yes, but it all depends on the quality you put in it. Because, it's just like chanting inattentively is like an empty capsule. You can keep taking the empty capsules, but you won't get really the full benefit and you won't get the full cure. So, we can keep chanting for lifetimes like this, actually. That's what is described by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we have to endeavor to chant, because it's always better service. That's what the spiritual dynamic is. It's not being like on one platform and just keeping doing that same thing. That's the material platform. You go and you easily touch the roof of sense enjoyment or whatever, or working here in the material world. And you cannot go higher than that. There are limitations. But in the realm of devotional service, the spiritual dynamic is that you cannot be stagnant. You always have better service. That's what they do in the spiritual. They always try to do better service to Krishna. So we have to put ourselves in that mood of always trying, endeavoring. Even if we are not able, after many years, if we just endeavor, Krishna will reciprocate with that. We just have to keep the desire. It's not about just doing the activity, but the intention behind it. You can, if your intention is right, then definitely your chanting will increase in quality. Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice question. Yeah. Yes?
Babu, I just have this question, Krishna wants us back, and I'm looking at all the people. I've been coming here for a year, and it seems like nobody's interested. And it seems like, I can maybe come to Krishna, but what about the rest of them? Are they just less intelligent and dragging me down, or how? If I may say, the Tirtha Swami Prabhu Maharaj, he wanted that. I don't know, that's something that's always been on my mind. I feel like I'm a traitor if I just leave, that I'm careless towards other less fortunate souls.
Well, if I understand correctly, you were saying, you're looking at others. What is important in devotional service is to look at ourselves. We have to start, because every fault you find for it in others, that means you have 3 in you. That's what is described. So we have to focus on ourselves, The point is, we speak more about that tomorrow, about seeing the good and bad, and how Krishna is in everything, and how we should actually see that in devotees. Is that we should not see what devotees are doing that are bad, because it's just the movement of the material energy. We just have conditioning, because of the modes of nature, and because of that we act in different ways. That's what Krishna says, apichat suduracharo. The sense that even if one commits the most abominable action, is to be considered to be saintly if he is fixed in his determination. So important is to look at yourself and see how you can be a better devotee. And by doing that, you will attract other devotees, and you'll get association of devotees that are advanced. That's the secret. So just work on yourself, look at the faults in you, and try to increase the quality of your chanting and devotional service. And by doing that, Krishna will reciprocate and give you facility to have good association of devotees and do nice service. Is that okay?
Yes.
Nice question. Yes?
I have 2 weird comments. Sorry. Just about the driving inattentive chanting. So I was telling my parents, Guru Maharaj, that I'm sorry, the only time I chant is when I'm driving. So then Guru Maharaj said, just don't stop driving. That was funny, but it was interesting advice too. Just the main thing is to chant, at least chant. And then when I was younger, I didn't really know what was going on in the philosophy at all. So I thought there was something interesting here, but I didn't really know very much. So I would chant and read Bhagavad Gita at the same time, because my mind really didn't know what to focus on anyway. And I read a lot that way, and I chanted a lot at the same time. So it was probably inattentive, but at the same time, it helped me focus on something spiritual rather than, other material things maybe. So those were just my thoughts, and then there's also a...
Well, let me first answer to this. Thank you for the comment. So basically, like I was describing, we can do these things, but there are still empty capsules. Like we can do driving japa, we can do talking japa, and the point is there will still be empty capsules. So we can keep doing it, but the point is that we won't really increase the quality of our chanting and relationship with Krishna. So it all depends on us. The point is we have to try. Whether we see it or not, these things are inattentive chanting, and they will have the results they have according to the quality of it. So, driving japa is driving japa, and it is what it is inattentive chanting, and it will have particular results. So we can keep doing it, but like I was saying, if we want to really increase our relationship, I'll give you an example. If you chant for 2 years, let's say 2 years, you chant inattentively, just for 2 years, without really endeavoring seriously, sincerely to develop a relationship with Krishna, longing to serve and chant in the mood of service, and try to involve your heart in it. So what will be the quality of your relationship with Krishna after these 2 years? Okay, let's take it. If you chant attentively for 2 years, then what will be the quality of your relationship with your Krishna if you involve your heart in it? What will be the difference? You see, so it all depends on us. That's why sometimes, devotees, they tell us these things, because it's according to the level of our enthusiasm and dedication to the chanting. Different instructions are given. But what I'm giving here is general instructions for everyone to try to deepen your level of chanting. Yes?
Sorry, like those two comments were just because those are one of my reflections that
Mhm.
came to mind. But there's also something else. So, like, if I do chant more attentively and with the proper mood, then it feels like I'm getting lots of opportunities for service. And
Mhm.
then I feel a little bit like fearful to serve a lot. I don't know why. I get a little bit scared. I don't know how to deal with that.
Mm.
I don't know what it is, like what this fear is, but it really feels like maybe I'm too attached to my material life or whatnot, but it feels like I can really dive deep very quickly.
Well, you have to see service for what it is. Service is a very precious opportunity to serve the devotees in Krishna. And that's really what it's basically about the means in the end, just like the chanting. So, in order to be enthused about service, we have to see what is service. When we appreciate the fact that actually it's Krishna's blessing. Because the fact that we can serve is only we can only serve by Krishna's mercy. Because service is Bhakti Devi, devotional service. Bhakti Devi, she's Srimati Radharani. So by her mercy, we're able to do some service. So definitely, according to how much we're ready to do in terms of service, we always have this hesitation. But if you see it for what it is, then it will make you appreciate that, wow, actually, Krishna is giving me this very rare and precious opportunity to do more service to the devotees. It's all about how we see it. And this depends on if we see it according for our own pleasure and enjoyment and control, to be comfortable in our position, or if we're in the mood of service. That's where you see there's a fine line, So that's why we have to develop this mood of service. This we do by attentive chanting. Does it answer you?
Yeah, wonderfully, thank you.
Thank you so much. Anything else?
Sir,
Yes.
meditating on Krishna or chanting on Krishna, which is more important?
Chanting is the best of all. It's the best remembrance. It's the best of all smaranam. So chanting is the best meditation on Krishna. Because from chanting, Srila Prabhupada said that by chanting Hare Krishna attentively, Krishna will reveal naturally in your heart, he will reveal his form, his pastimes, his qualities, and his associates by the quality of chanting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur said by chanting purely, Krishna will reveal your spiritual identity in your heart just by chanting, no external techniques or... So in that way, that's what is described. It's just the best meditation.
So when we meditate, we can't chant.
Well, you can chant when you meditate, but Haridas Thakur says that chanting in the mind is higher than chanting loud. But it's chanting in the mind is higher level of chanting. So before we go to that level, we really have to be attentive and be able to chant attentively and hear properly. Naturally, when we chant and we're more absorbed, then it will become more internal. But at the beginning, we have to be external in what we do. We cannot cheaply meditate on Krishna and his pastimes. Because meditation is an activity of the mind, and the mind is contaminated by the modes of passion and ignorance. So because of that, what we'll perceive through the mind will not be the full thing. So that's why chanting is the best, because it purifies the heart, so that we're eligible to meditate on these things. And that Krishna, it's not about, because it's not a ascending process, it's the descending process. Krishna will reveal himself to you by devotional service. We cannot force meditation on Krishna. Brahma said you can speculate for millions of lifetimes on the absolute truth. You will not receive it, you will not get it, because we're trying to do it, achieve it on our own ability. So it's something that is coming from Krishna's mercy. And this comes by endeavoring and first by chanting. Does it answer the question? Thank you. Yes?
So, what is attentive chanting? Is like chanting and hearing what you chant?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
sometimes when you are in a bus or train, you are whispering. Is that also be known as attentive chanting, or will that be
Yeah.
different?
Public transport is also another type of inattentive chanting. The thing is that how attentively can you be when there's so many noise around and so much distractions and you're kind of feeling a bit uncomfortable? You're trying to chant that people are around you. So definitely won't be attentive. The point is we have to be practical in the sense like sometimes due to circumstances we cannot, but we have to accept the fact that definitely so when I have to chant in a bus or a car or in a plane, I know that it will be inattentive. But sometimes we have no choice.
So if your mind wanders away of what you're chanting, you should bring it back, and it's still like your mind always wanders away.
Yeah. That's why if you involve the heart, just like the child when he cries for his mother, he thinks about nothing else. He doesn't think about, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? Did I, whatever, did I play with the star yesterday? No, he's thinking, where's my mom, So when you involve the heart, naturally the mind will stop wandering. But also if you chant attentively, if you hear the name because Krishna is there, then the mind will be naturally attracted to it. So it's not an activity of the mind. Sometimes we think like this, but it's just about chanting and hearing one mantra at a time. Hare Krishna, every syllable. If you hear one mantra, you're so fortunate, so fortunate. So just try this, one mantra at a time. You keep hearing, but you have to be in a sacred space. That's what we spend time about the proper lifestyle, where to chant. You have to find a sacred space. One man, in order to chant 16 rounds, he will chant in his car. He will leave earlier to work, and he will go in the parking lot, put a picture of Radha Krishna, and chant there his 16 rounds. So wherever it is, in your home, in your office, find a sacred space. In the place that you just chant Hare Krishna, you don't look at your email, whatever it is. So it creates a certain mood, environment to chant. And when you go in that, just like when you go in your bed, then naturally you'll fall asleep because that's the activity there. If you go in the office, naturally you will work. If you go in the kitchen, naturally you'll think about what I should eat, what I should cook. If you go in your sacred space, naturally you'll want to chant Hare Krishna. Is that okay? Yes?
Sometimes I chant and I do parikrama around the deities. Is that okay?
Yes, no problem. Yeah, no problem.
And sometimes if your mind wanders away on how to improve your service, like you're chanting, but you are, okay, we are going to go distribute books, what am I going to say? Is that related? Or
That's inattentive. Bhakti Swami, he had 1 hour every day for his problems or his service, how to deal with his day. That was his hour. He would spend each and every second and minute of it to think about what he will do, what is his service, what is his problem, and the rest of the time he tried to be absorbed, in Krishna consciousness. So no, it's inattentive. Yes.
So I have a question. So you gave like the 4 level of competencies,
Mm-hmm.
and so like is there, how do you tell if you're getting better or something, like better at chanting? Like for example, at different activities, for example, if you're running, you can tell by how further you ran, or like you decrease your speed of time. Or if you're learning language, if you learn like new words, or if you're able to speak better in that language, you can measure it that way. So is there ways you can tell you're getting better? Those different levels of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these steps, they help you. At the beginning, you're completely unconscious. When you start to be conscious, like if you go back tonight or tomorrow, you try to be conscious, this already you have done 50% of the work, So that's why you can see, like in terms of the chanting, like when I see that I'm conscious that actually I'm chanting completely inattentively, then, you see the progress. And then when you're endeavoring to chant, that's already 75%. And when you chant attentively and you're totally unconscious about it, then it's 100%. So in that sense, you can measure.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we can conclude that chanting is also meditation.
Yes, it's the best of all remembrances of Krishna, the best of all meditations, because it's direct association with Krishna, and just by chanting, Krishna will reveal everything. Yeah, that's what is described actually in the scriptures. Yeah, Vyasadeva also describes this. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
Sorry, I'm new.
Oh, okay.
Well, I've been coming a couple times, but sometimes I kind of don't understand why exactly like this words, not something other words? Why
Mm.
16 times? Why not 54?
Mm.
Things like that kind of
Yeah.
confuse me. And when I think of the world, and okay, if somebody doesn't know exactly this world word, cannot he just, by looking inside of himself, just in silence, contemplate the reality,
Mm.
the God within himself, without using any kind of mantra or
Mm.
words? You know what I mean?
Very good question. Well, the thing is, there's karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti. This is described in Bhagavad Gita, the different levels of yoga. So karma, jnana, and yoga, the yogis, the karmis, the jnanis, they depend on their own ability to achieve their perfection. And because of that, Krishna says it is very difficult and troublesome. Because the soul is minute, spiritual substance. So Krishna is the complete whole, the source of everything, and we are part and parcel of that complete. Just like if you take, in that phone, there's a bolt that keeps the screen and the rest of the phone together. If I take out the bolt and I put it on the floor, what is the value of it? What is the use of it if it's just there, lying there, you know? We're parts of the universal machine, Krishna. So if you try to be, what we're trying to do here in this world, we're trying to disconnect ourselves from the source. That's the main problem I was saying, try to be God. Be the enjoyer and controller. So that's why these paths are very difficult to achieve and very troublesome. And what you achieve is very limited because we're depending on our own ability, and because the soul is very limited in its capacity to achieve liberation, to experience pleasure. We experience pleasure, but only when it's connected to the source. On our own, we have a level of pleasure, it's called ananda. The soul has pleasure in it, bliss. But that experience of pleasure is limited compared to the ocean of bliss you can get in connection to Krishna. So these things are possible. We can depend on our own ability and go inside and try, but it's so troublesome and difficult, let me tell you. I've tried to do that for many years. I mean, I started in Tibetan Buddhism and tried all kinds of meditation, and it's so austere. Just by chanting 5 minutes. Were you there for the chanting?
I came late, but
Oh,
I was
okay.
there for chanting.
If you come tomorrow, we'll do a kirtan. And if you have the chance to come tomorrow, we'll have another seminar. And just sit down in a kirtan for 5 minutes, and I can assure you that in 5 minutes, you experience yourself and the source far even more in 5 minutes than you can ever do in years of austere meditation in the mind.
I do. I have come before for kirtan, but I feel like it's cheating because I haven't done any work on myself to purify my heart, to purify my soul, and I feel like it's just I'm connecting to this energy that has been created, but it's artificial. That's how I see it.
Well, basically, we don't have to wait to be pure before we chant Hare Krishna. Because the thing is, Krishna is the most pure. So just by connecting with that source of all purity, we will naturally be purified. So there's no hard and fast rules in chanting. Whether we're pure or not, whether we're qualified or not, it's the sacrifice of the age. If you see in every religion, it's not so much common anymore. Many traditions have rejected or stopped using that practice, but in most important traditions you see that chanting aspect. The Buddhists, they chant different mantras on beads. The Muslims, they chant the 99 qualities of Allah on beads. The Christians, they chant on the rosary, the prayers. So you see all the main religions are chanting the names of God or mantras. So it's just the main practice for this age. It's what is described, the Sankirtan, to be the most efficient practice for self-realization. And Prabhupada said that the Christians, they can chant the name of Jesus Christ, the Muslims, they can chant, because God has unlimited names, and they're all potent. So, and whatever is your religion, whatever is your attraction, whatever is your language, then you chant in that name, and you will get benefit. But why we chant Hare Krishna is that because the Hare Krishna is the Maha Mantra, the great mantra, which means that it contains all the other mantras. Because in the word Krishna, which means all attractive means he attracts you by his unlimited qualities. And all these different names of God, they're representing different qualities of God. That's why the word Krishna is the original name of God, because all attracted by all his qualities, all his utterances. So that's what makes Krishna the topmost name of God. And when we chant that name, then we connect directly with that person, which is the source of everything. Is that okay? Anything else?
I just want to say about one realization when you talked about the helplessness while talking about chanting.
Mm-hmm.
That if we just pick that point only, I think that we can improve the chanting.
Yes. Yeah, it starts there, like I was saying. It starts with the mood of helplessness. And then that mood, you see, the child is longing to be with his mother. You know, the heart is there, he wants to be there. You know, the feeling is there. Yeah, definitely.
Sir, my only apprehension is that I can chant as long as I am physically fit. But if I am physically unable or disabled, then I may not be able to chant.
Well, if you cannot chant physically, you can chant mentally. And if you cannot even chant mentally, others can chant for you.
Mentally chant means meditation.
Chant in your mind, without, speaking with the voice.
Mentally chanting means as good as meditation.
Well, chanting in itself is a meditation, so whether you chant physically with the voice or with the mind. But in any case, chanting can always be there, whether you're physically, mentally, or unfit or fit, then others can chant for you.
Normally we understand chanting means physically.
Well,
normal.
Chanting is an activity of the soul. Basically, it has nothing to do with the body, but because we have this body, we use the body in the chanting.
Yes, sir.
But we start with the physical and then we become more internal in the chanting. Yeah. So, is that okay? Anything else?
Thank you,
I
sir.
have a question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes?
So sometimes I have to chant by the end of the day, and if there is a phone call or say something, so in that case can I interrupt my chanting if it's an important phone call and then continue chanting, or what is the procedure?
Yes, we have to be practical. We're living in this material world, so we have to be practical. Like I was saying, best is if we can in the morning try as many rounds as possible, but sometimes we have some duties. We don't want to neglect our duties also. So it's a question of balance. Try to be balanced and trying to find sacred space in all of that, in all the business of our lives. Yeah.
No, so is it okay if we interrupt our chanting and talk and then continue our chanting again, or do we start from the beginning?
No, we don't need to start from the beginning. Like I was saying, most important is to try to chant as many rounds uninterruptedly as possible. But if we have some duties, then we do them and we go back to our chanting. No problem. Like I said, there's no hard and fast rules, definitely in the chanting. But if we want to get a better quality of chanting or better experience or connection to Krishna, then there's certain things that we can do to make it better. Yeah.
That's the point when we are talking about that consciously. If we are conscious about that, okay, we are making mistake.
Yes.
That's how we will improve.
Exactly. Just, we try to chant as best as we can according to time, place, and circumstances, but we have to see how we can try to improve our sacred space in our chanting so that we can chant attentively. Yeah. Yes?
One suggestion I would just like to give her is when you stop, wherever you are stopping, just go back 6 rounds, go back 6 beats, and then you can start again chanting. So that you don't know exactly where you left, but you are chanting some more rounds to cover all this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you
that's
can do that too.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's a good one. So, anything else? I think Prasadam is coming. Another form of Krishna. Okay, so thank you so much for your nice participation. So for those who are not there, we have the full seminar online. If you'd like to share it with them, it's you just have to press Holy Name is Everything on YouTube, and then you can share with others. On this seminar online, there's like some role plays. Some young devotees, they put together some role plays, so you can look at it too. So thank you so much, and please chant Hare Krishna and be
Hare
happy.
Krishna.